I'm going to talk about multiplication and exponentiation with respect to decimals. All right? Let's start out by talking about multiplying decimals by powers of 10. So for example, 1.2 times 10, 1.2 times 100, 1.2 times 1 over 10, and 1.2 times 1 over 100. Okay, so there's a simple method to determine what the answer is. For numbers, for powers of 10 that are 10 or bigger, okay, you could move the decimal point in the decimal to the right a certain number of hops. The number of hops is equivalent to the number of zeros in the power of 10. All right, so that was a mouthful, so let me show you how to do the first two. So the 10 has 1 0 in it, right? So if I move the decimal place in 1.2 one hop to the right, I would get 12. Okay? Now the 1.2 times 100, can you see that the 100 has 2 zeros? So what would I get if I moved the decimal point in 1.2 2 hops to the right? Can you see that I would get 120? All right, so that's what I mean. Now, in the examples that involve 1 divided by a power of 10, okay, in those situations, you're going to move the decimal point to the left a certain number of hops, okay? The number of hops is the number of zeros in the denominator, okay? So, for example, for 1.2 times 1 over 10, the 1 over 10 has 1 0, so I'm going to move the decimal point in 1.2 one hop to the left, and I'm going to get 0.12. All right? Now, for the last example, I have 2 zeros in the 1 over 100, so I'm going to move the decimal point in 1.2 2 hops to the left, and that's going to give 0.012. All right, now, why does this work? So, if you understand fractions really well, then maybe seeing it worked out, the corresponding calculation with fractions will make it more clear. So for the first example, 1.2 times 10, 1.2 is the same, or is equivalent to 1 plus 2 over 10. So let's multiply this blue expression by 10. Okay? If we distribute, I would get 1 times 10 plus 2 over 10 times 10, right? And so what's that equal to? 10 plus, and then 2 over 10 times 10, that's equal to 2. So this whole thing ends up being 12, right? Which is equal to what we got using the other method. Okay? So let's do another example. How about the last one? So 1.2 times 1 over 100, that's the same as 1 plus 2 over 10 times 1 over 100, which is equal to 1 times 1 over 100 plus 2 over 10 times 1 over 100. That's equal to 1 over 100 plus 2 over 1,000. Okay, and that's equal to 0.012. Okay, so you can any decimal multiplied by a power of 10, you can convert it to an equivalent calculation in fractions, and to convince yourself that this method of moving the decimal a certain number of hops to the left or right works out. Okay? Now let's have you do some examples. would you please calculate 0.61 times 1,000 and 9.3 times 1 over 1,000? So pause the video and work those out now, please. Okay, so I'll go ahead and work these out as well. So I'm going to move the decimal point in 0.61 3 hops to the right, so that'll give me 610. And in the last example, I'm going to move the decimal point in 9.3 3 hops to the left, and that's going to give me 0.0093. All right. Now, let's talk about multiplying a decimal by another decimal. What if we wanted to calculate 4.7 times 1.3? All right, so I'm going to show you a method to find the product of two decimals. For my method, the first thing you're going to do is ignore the decimal point. All right, pretend you are actually calculating 47 times 13. Okay, what is 47 times 13? So I'll go ahead and work it out. Maybe it'll be good review for you. So 3 times 7 is 21, so I put a 2 up there. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 2 is 14, add a 0. 1 times 7 is 7, 1 times 4 is 4. Add those together, 1, 1, 6. 611. All right, now, that's equal to 47 times 13, but that's not what we were after. We wanted 4.7 times 1.3, right? Now, what you do as in the last step is count the number of digits to the right of the decimal points. So in this example, there's 2. There's the 7 and the 3 to the right of the decimal points. So because there's 2, I'm going to take my answer at the bottom and move the decimal point 2 hops to the left. Okay, and that's going to give me 6.11. All right. Now, why does this work? Okay, so let me show you by building upon what you already know about multiplying by powers of 10. So can you see that 4.7 is equal to 47 times 1 over 10? And can you see that 1.3 is equal to 13 times 1 over 10? All right, so if I wanted to multiply the decimals together, I can find the answer by multiplying the right sides of those two equations together, right? And what would that give me? Well, that would give me 47 times 13, all right, multiplied by 1/10 times 1/10, but that's equal to 1 over 100. But didn't we just learn that when you multiply by 1 over 100, you're supposed to move the decimal point 2 hops to the left? Okay, so doing that, you will indeed get 6.11 again. Okay, so study that if it's still unclear, but that is one way to see why this method works. Okay, so now I would like you to do an example. Would you please calculate 9.8 times 2.3? All right, so pause the video and do that now, please. All right, so I'll go ahead and work it out as well. So as before, I'm first going to ignore the decimal points. So 3 times 8 gives that. Gives 24, so I'll write down a 4 and put a 2 in the upper left. 3 times 9 is 27, plus 2 is 29. Add a 0. 2 times 8 is 16. Put a 1 in the upper left. 2 times 9 is 18, plus 1 is 19. Now I add those two integers together. 4 plus 0 gives 4, 9 plus 6 gives 5, so I'll add a 1 to the second to the last column as I move to the left. So 1 plus 2 plus 9 gives 12. Add 1 to the leftmost column, 1 plus 1, 2. So 2,254. Okay, so as before, I count how many digits are to the right of the decimal points. There's 2, so I'm going to move the decimal point in the answer 2 hops to the left, and I'm going to get 22.54 for my answer. All right? So I hope that's what you got. Now, I'd like to talk about exponentiation with regards to decimals. So, as you probably know, exponentiation is nothing more than repeated multiplication. So if you already know how to multiply two decimals together, you already know how to do exponentiation with respect to decimals. All right. So for example, to calculate 2.3 squared, we would calculate 2.3 times 2.3. All right. So I'll go ahead and work that out now. So 2.3 times 2.3. So 3 times 3 is 9. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 2 is 4. 9. Okay, I have two digits to the right of the decimal points. So I'm going to move my decimal 2 hops to the left. So the answer is 5.29. All right, so it's just you just need to know how to multiply decimals together to do exponentiation with decimals. All right, so would you please do this last example? Calculate 1.4 cubed. Okay, so pause the video and do that now, please. All right, so I'll go ahead and work it out. So that's equal to 1.4 times 1.4 times 1.4. So let me first find what 1.4 times 1.4 is. And that is, let's see, 4 times 4 is 16. Add a 1 there, 1 times 4 plus 1, 5. So then I write a 0. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 1 is 1. So 196. And now I turn that into a 1.96. All right. Now I take that 1.96 and I multiply that by 1.4. So what's that going to give me? Let's see. 4 times 6 is 24. Write a 2 there. 4 times 9 is 36. Plus 2, 38. Write a 3 there. 1 times 4, and then 3 makes 7. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 9 is 9. 1 times 1 is 1. So now I do the necessary sum. 4 plus 0 is 4. 8 plus 6 is 14. Add a 1 in the next column. That's 1 plus 7 plus 9 gives 17. Add a 1 in the leftmost column, so I get 2. Now I have 3 numbers to the right of the decimal point, so I'm going to turn this answer into 2.744. All right, and I hope that that is what you got.